Our final speaker tonight, our last speaker tonight, is Rajiv Govil, Global Head HR Transitions and HR Head Europe, HCL, and with experience from large transformation deals and planning and operations in HR, as well as cross-cultural assignments, including outsourcing and startup ventures.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, my HCL colleagues, my recently transferred Volvo colleagues, and if members from Indian Embassy are here, welcome, and distinguished speakers. Hi, as they say in Swedish. Looking at these speakers, it's quite a wide spectrum of some of the stories which distinguished panels have shared, and then corporate pitch about diversity as inclusion from Scania and IKEA. So I think it's diversity and inclusion, it's a business imperative in today's world. It is very close to us at HCL. If we look back, 5 years, probably this topic would not have got discussed at such a panel. So increasingly awareness within the Indian ecosystem is amazing, right? I happen to be based out of London for last 18 years with HCL. So I can correlate the context of India and the kind of such parameters, diversity parameters are being looked upon in Western world. And of course, Sweden and Nordics are way ahead of the curve on all such parameters, right? So for us in India, there's a lot of things which are happening. And I think government is doing quite a bit of it. So I will share with you what we have done last 4 to 5 years at HCL. And I'm very proud of saying that if we look at some of the parameters, right, we have got 103 nationalities working in 32 countries and literally spreading across 3 to 4 generations perhaps, right? Our gender ratio was practically at the lower end of the curve, but consciously we are making efforts, and gender ratio is currently at 24%, which is pretty much Indian IT average. But our aim and ambition is by 2020, we should be looking at in excess of 35%. It is quite a tough target, which internally we have taken upon. We'll see how it goes. And of course, this whole debate about globalization of the workforce, so about 17 to 20% of our global workforce of 110,000 plus is local workforce. So at HCL, how we are achieving this? So cultural inclusiveness, gender neutrality, and ability sensitivity. So these are the 3 parameters. A little bit of heavy slide, but how we are achieving this, right? So there are a lot of diversity initiatives are driven through our employee resource groups. Given that, IT industry is, and especially the BPO business, is heavily dominated by the female workforce. So diversity is one, and gender, how we are achieving the gender neutralization. We will talk a little bit about cultural, which is so important in business deals these days, right? In IT outsourcing, no more dollar is being perceived as the ultimate figure, right? There are parameters how an organization is, ranking on some of these soft parameters. I can quote 2 examples from Nordics. One is our very recent win in Volvo. We were specifically asked on the diversity and inclusion, how it is, and it was a very interesting conversation I did share with my Volvo colleague, Rana. And of course, you mentioned about Nirbhaya incident, right? So how in India world has changed in last 2.5 years, and how companies have learned from that sad incident and making the workplace more safe. And then, of course, within the corporate governance, like IKEA believes, what are the redressal channels to, air these concerns? So, when we talk in IT world, how does the culture work, right? This whole concept of East versus West, of course, when I nod my head, what does it mean? I'm saying yes or no. It's a very common cliche. But I think equally important is how the 2 organizations are working, right? So more than, rather than explaining how the difference between East and West is, it's very important when people from or colleagues from different organizations walk into an IT services organization like ours, what are the ways of working? So we work on a tool called Globe Smart. It's very interesting. It's, just, if nothing else, it just, gives little bit of semblance what the different culture could look like, and if I am part of the global IT setup, how I should behave in an environment. So we encourage that, and it is becoming a part of our business selling capabilities, this concept of diversity and inclusion. We also have a culturality, which is more of a open forum where we encourage our women colleagues, and from our client ecosystem, the colleagues who are at the leadership position, to come and share their personal experiences. On the gender side, HCL, both internally and externally, we are quite cognizant of the fact that while internally 110,000 people, what are the kind of activities, challenges we can perform, but equally important, what we can do the societies. Because in a concept of D&I, stakeholders are not just employees. We are looking at the society, we are looking of course at the management, leadership, investors. So there has to be an ROI also, on some of these parameters, but we are far away from that reality. So at HCL, three things I would like to mention. One is a stepping stone. So there are a lot of, I don't know how many in the audience are from IT background, but this concept of first-time team leaders. So we encourage our women colleagues to get into more managerial positions through this program called Stepping Stone. SN, which is a big gray area in the sense there are hardly any presence of women colleagues in the leadership position. So women colleagues, female colleagues who are at the mid-level position, which is typically a project manager profile, we encourage them to take senior management leadership position. And then of course the other program of Feminine Inspiration, where we get client, female colleagues to come over and talk to us about their experiences. Work-life balance is pretty much talked about. Are we perfect as an organization? Certainly not, but there is an ambition and aim to ensure that we walk the right path. We aim to provide a work-life balance in terms of extended maternity, which I think some of the panel speakers talked about. India, US probably will be one category. European Union is kind of another category, and of course Nordic countries are far ahead in terms of the benefits that are extended. In addition to some of these, flexibility in terms of part-time working from home, we have also put up employee, counseling cells, career counseling, so that colleagues can very openly discuss the issues at hand. So those kind of options have been provided. And of course, safety and security, it's absolutely essential. It is essential in more than one way. We live in a world where, it's not just female colleagues' security, it's true for us as well, right? So we have tied up over last 1 year or so with some of the agencies which can help in the disaster recovery, because in business parlance, any and everybody will talk of what is the disaster recovery process or backup arrangement. But from employee point of view, we have ensured that there is a 24/7 helpline available in case of any emergency that happens, whether it's a Paris incident or otherwise. So we have invested quite a lot there. And lastly, while we hear what happens in a corporate world, so we have provided two channels. One is here and other is secure. So here is primarily, it's a kind of a whistleblower framework. Any employee can, raise their concern through this channel or forum which is available, and it will get looked into. And secure is absolutely secure in the sense any racial or sexual discrimination which an individual can be subjected to, he or she can bring that to this forum, and it is a 14 days SLA in which it will be looked into and closed. So I think some of these parameters, as I said, they have become increasingly very important. 5 to 7 years back, there wouldn't be any discussion on, at least in the IT world, how an organization is doing on these parameters. But it is absolutely essential that as a society, in Indian context or in our European context or global context, we look up to these parameters. So happy to invite any questions.